Alright, Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, and Shalom to Akim who be teaching this word around the globe with faith in truth and in sincerity. As always, I'd like to start by saying this is the brother Caleb from the GMS London Forecasters Camp, coming back at you with another lesson to hopefully edify the Lord's elect. As always, I like to say that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites, these are called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans predominantly. However, you are going to get Israelites that do look like the other nations because Israel as a people has been scattered amongst all people throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like. Because the book of Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. Okay? So, I was walking down the road the other day, the road where I live actually. Got to the end of the road just before I got to the bus stop, and I looked up and I saw this billboard, and I thought, wow, ain't this funny? Let's look into it and let's break it down. So this is this billboard advert, and it says from the HM government, yeah? For those of you who don't know, the word government actually means mind control, yeah? So it says, join the millions already vaccinated. Hey, you've got this Edomite here. And it says, NHS, every vaccination gives us hope. And it says, we will let you know when your C19 vaccine is ready for you. And it says, join the millions already vaccinated. So essentially, this is propaganda. You could even call it wartime propaganda, you know. Because we are indeed at war. It's a silent war. Silent war against us Israelites, yeah? To try and get us to conform to this system and this beast, yeah? So, because in the scripture, kingdoms are referred to as beasts. If you go back into Daniel, the 7th chapter, it talks about a number of beasts, and they were all referring to different kingdoms. Let me just go there for edification's sake. Daniel 7. Let me just quickly break this down. I don't want to go too deep into it, but basically, in the first year of Belshazzar, the king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my visions by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon a great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. And I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and is lifted up from the earth, and was made to stand upon its feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. So that's basically talking about the Babylonian Empire. That's what that beast was symbolizing. Don't want to go too deep into this breakdown because I could do a whole lesson on this, but just talking about how kingdoms were referred to as beasts. And it says, and I beheld another beast, a second like unto a bear, and it raised up his side, and it had 3 ribs between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, arise and devour much flesh. So I believe it was, what was it, Babylonian, Assyrian Empire, was it the Persians and the Medes? Yeah, it was Persians and the Medes. And in verse 6, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon its back of it 4 wings as a fowl, and the beast also had 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. That's speaking of the Greek Empire, which was started by Alexander the Greek, which you can read about in the book of Maccabees. And after this, I saw night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and he had great iron teeth, and devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped their residue with the feet of it, and was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So that beast is talking about Babylon the Great, which is the kingdom that we're in right now, which is predominantly, America's at the head of this thing. Babylon the Great. So why am I talking about these beasts? Going back to this image. Because, as I said, kingdoms are referred to as beasts in the scriptures. So this kingdom is basically at war with us Hebrew Israelites to try and get us to conform to the ways of this kingdom so that we can lose our hope for salvation. But we're not supposed to be conforming to this world. The scriptures say, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye renewed by the transforming of your mind. Let me get that precept. Khan, that's Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. It says, let me start from 1, it's because some good meat there. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of the Most High, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. So, if you was conformed to the ways of this world, this image would have an impact on us. We'd see it and we'd think, oh, yeah, we got to get down with this program, man. We got to go get our little jokes, get juked up and all this kind of stuff, because we need to fit in and we need to be part of this system and we have to go along to get along and all this kind of shit. No. Let's start with Leviticus 19 and 28. What does that say? Because we should obey the Lord. We should obey our power, the Most High Yahweh. We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. I'm going to get that in a second. Leviticus 19 and 28 states, ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. Let me read that one more time. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. So technically, according to the scriptures, according to our Bible and our law, we are not supposed to be getting any cuttings in our flesh. So we can't be down with this program. You know, it's cut and dry, man. What did Peter say in the book of Acts? Acts 5, is it 5:38? Let's see if it's there. That's Acts 5:29. Yep. Let me read from 26. Then the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared the people, lest they should have been stoned. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council. And the high priest asked them, saying, did we not straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? Yeah, looking at you, IUIC. Saying, did we not straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? And behold, you have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter with the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey the Most High rather than men. Let me read that again because it's an important point. Then Peter with the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey the Most High rather than men. So we can't be down with this shit. We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. So fuck Esau, man. Now, let me break this picture down, because they're trying to do a lot of psyops, you know, little psychological tricks on this, right? Let me talk about this, right? You've got two colors on this picture. Now, the predominant color, or I should say the dominant color, because if you look at a painting or a picture, you can break it down into certain there's certain ways you can break it down. Now, I'm quite fortunate because I studied art for a long time, you know, fine art, this, that, and the other, you know, painting and stuff like that. So I know a lot of the theory behind this stuff. So let me just expound upon what I'm saying. if we take the totality of this picture and we was to say, okay, what's the dominant color in this picture? What color occupies most of the space? We'd say blue. Now each color has a connotation. The connotation of red is usually danger or sin, because we know, the scriptures say that your sins be as crimson. So red represents danger and sin. Blue represents cool and calm. Like if you was to look at what color do you see most? If you look up in the sky, it's usually blue in the day. Or if you're by the sea or the ocean, what do you look at? It's blue. Blue carries that connotation of tranquility, calm, soothing. It's a restful color. Whereas red's more adjective. If that's the word, agitative, if that's the word to use. Anyway, so you've got blue, and you've got yellow, and yellow is a color that's usually bright. It's the second brightest color under white, if you was to think about it in terms of, temperatures. So you've got the blue there, and you've got the yellow on top of the blue, and it's complementary. The blue and the yellow work together, but the yellow highlights the point. The point is they want to say to you, this is the important point: join the millions already vaccinated. Yeah. Now, what did the Lord say to us? Enter ye at the straight gate. Did he not? Let me get that one. Yeah, Matthew chapter 7 and verse 13. So it's not Matthews, it's Matthew 7 and 13. Now this says, enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Let me read that again. Enter ye at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. So let's look at this picture. What's it saying? Join the millions. We're not supposed to be joining with the millions, because this isn't a numbers thing. The salvation is for the elect. We're going to be the few. The broad is the gate and wide is the way that leadeth to destruction. And that is the path that the majority of the world is on. They're not thinking about the return of Yahushua. They're not meditating on these laws and these precepts. Enter ye at the straight gate. Straight meaning a position of difficulty. For what exactly? We're going to be in a position of difficulty because we're not getting down with this program. By not being down with this program, we are going to have to face persecution for that, which goes into in the book of Revelation. Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Yeah? So let me do some more analysis on this image. What you've got here is you've got an Edomite here. And if you look at it, yeah, when you're doing photography or shot composition for films or whatever like that, there's different types of shot you can do. You can have a close-up, which is what you've got here. You've got a close-up of this Edomite's fucking face. Or you've got wide shots, which is, if you see the whole body of the person. Or you've got three-quarter shots where if you see the head down to, say, the waist of the person, that's called a... I think it's called a three-quarter shot, if I'm not mistaken. But the point is, we've got an extreme close-up on this man's face. But what you've got to remember is eye level. Because eye level, if you're talking to someone face-to-face, usually they're on your eye level. Unless you're talking to a child. If you're talking to a child, the child is below your eye level. So therefore, the child is looking up to you. Now, that's what Esau has tried to do with this image. He's tried to put it so you're looking up to this guy. Because technically you are, because this billboard's quite high in the street. So you're already looking up at it, yeah? But then you also got the psychological camera trick of you looking up at this man's face, yeah? And you look at this man's face, but he's not looking at you. He's looking up too. So what this is saying to you is that look up to this guy, but this guy is looking up to something greater. Yeah? So what is this guy looking up to? Well, you can use your imagination. You could use your imagination, but really they're trying to say that this man's looking to the future. Yeah? Like he's looking at the distance. He can see over the hills and far away and all this kind of shit. Yeah? Now, what you got to do is look at the bottom right of this image as well, because usually the first thing you see when you look at an image is the top left, and the last thing you see is the bottom right. Mainly in these Western countries, because we're taught to read from left to right. So you usually start at the top left corner and your eye ends at the bottom right. Now, what is it saying at the bottom right? Every vaccination gives us hope. So they want you to feel hopeful in the fact that this is the future. Join the millions already vaccinated. And this man is looking to that future, and he's got hope because he's been vaccinated. That's what they want to make you feel. Now, also, this man's face is broken up into all of these little dots. Why have they broken this man's face into these little dots when they could have just shown the man's face as being one regular face? But they've pixelated it down, so you've got all these little dots. What do these dots represent? Well, when you add all of these dots up, they represent a bigger picture. You see, you take each and every one of these little dots, you line them, and you change the tone of the color in them, and they make a mosaic. This type of thing is called a mosaic, I believe. And when you put the whole picture together, you get this man's head who's looking up to the future, and he has hope. Each of these dots represents each person that's taken the jab. So you got 1, 2 people take the jab, 3 people take the jab, 4 people take the jab, 5, 6, until eventually you get all these dots, which represents the millions already vaccinated. So all of these little dots, all of these little people that are taking the jab and stab, represent this image of this Edomite looking to a future that gives you hope. There you go, that's the breakdown of this image. So Esau ain't no fool. Esau isn't no fool, and he's fooling the people. What did I want? We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. Let me get that again. It's lucky I just dropped the phone. It's lucky I dropped the phone. Screen flipped around a bit. I hope it's not too distracting. So it's 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. Let me get that. Oops. It's lucky I'm flipping the phone around, man. 2 Corinthians 2 and 11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So let me go back to that. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices because we can see them. Yeah? Now I've got some other images here. On the same day when I was out, I saw this. You need 2 doses maximum. You need 2 doses for maximum protection. And it's the same principle. You've got this woman here, the same thing. She's looking up to a future. Yeah? And at the bottom right, same way, every vaccination gives us hope. You've got all these little dots, which represents every little person who's complied with this system and who's been in league with the beast, taken the jab, and they're ultimately going to take the mark too. They're going to take the mark when it comes out because they're just being prepped for it. See, it's the same psychological principle that's been employed here again by the HM government, Her Majesty's Mind Control, and it's, NHS. There's another one too. Again, Maxine Maxine reduces chances of hospitalization by 85% or more. And it says, same thing, bottom right, every max gives us hope. And you've got this woman's face being composed of all these little dots, again, making a mosaic type image. And again, each of these little dots represents every person that's taken the jab and stab. And again, they're saying you want to be part of the picture. You want to be part of this future. You don't want to be left behind. You don't want to risk hospitalization and all this other shit. It's all psyops from Esau, man. And again, on the buses, join the millions. And you've got this text made up of all these little dots. Each of these little dots representing each person that's taken the juk. And we'll let you know when it's ready for you. Well, you can let us know, Esau, but we ain't taking it because we're not down with this program, man. So that's the little lesson. Hopefully it's been edifying, breaking down these images. Revelation 12 and 12. It says, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. That's the time we're in right now. The devil knows he has got a short time. Esau. That's why he's pushing so hard with his propaganda and these images. Go back to the original closeout on it. These images here. This is Esau's propaganda, man. You ain't got no hope, Esau. You see, this is false hope. Your hope is basically gonna come to naught. You know, you're gonna be in slavery and in chains and in pits pertaining to the book of Obadiah. You know, you ain't got no future. So you keep looking up, because this is as good as it's gonna get for you. And it's all downhill for you Edomites from here on out. So without giving all praises, honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to Akim, teaching this word in truth. And until the next lesson, Lord willing, I shall say Shalom for now.